It's another episode, Better Learning Podcast. My name's Kevin Stoller. I'm here with my co-host, Carla Cummins. Carla, what's going on?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad I'm not
Yeah, I
flying
know.
solo.
Yeah, it's there's been some fun ones. Man, we've had some really good episodes
Yeah.
here that have been coming up here. Today we're talking Napoleon Dynamite, and our guest, Brian Parker from MHTN Architects. Brian, how's it going?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so Brian lives in Salt Lake City and Utah, and I have a feeling this movie may have hit kind of close to home. Similar
Yeah.
region, coming in Idaho. Let's start out. Why'd you pick this movie? And I'm so
Well,
glad you picked this movie.
it was partly because of that, right? Because it feels like it's a local movie. Like Preston, Idaho's just on the other side of the border. Just that the small town aspect of Napoleon Dynamite is all over where I live. The director and John Heater, the main character, they both went to school here in Utah, college, right, university school. So yeah, and then I think for me it was, and also the Sundance component, right? So it kind of started its life at the Sundance Film Festival, which until recently was a local film festival. So there were a lot of Utah connections that I was kind of drawn to, and then just part of why I love the movie so much is just my first experience watching it, where I just thought it was so hilarious. I saw it with a good friend, like a climbing buddy of mine, and we just laughed so hard. Like we always laugh when we're together, and just laughing so hard that my core hurt the next day, just thinking it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and partly because I had no idea what to expect.
I
So
think that's
I
for
just
me. It hit me
was,
too, as I was
yeah,
not expecting any of this the
yeah.
first time. So, what? I mean, what, Carla? What was the first time you saw it?
Oh, just now, just today.
No way! Like you've never seen this movie before.
No, like I use his gifts all the time. So I use a lot of the Napoleon Dynamite gifts when I send them, but I've never actually sat down and watched the movie in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces. So
All
I know
right.
some one-liners like, the Tina, you fat lard, get over here. That was my aunt's name, so we used to say it to her. Just it wasn't nice, but just things, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was culturally relevant. Like I feel like this movie still has an impact today. So,
It does.
Brian, what? Yeah, I mean, so where did you see it
So
first? And you saw it with your friend?
yeah, in the theater, 20 years ago, whenever it was. So I'm curious, Carla, seeing it for the first time, did you think it was funny, or were you like, yeah, I've heard Tina, you fat lard so many times it's not even funny when he
No, I
actually
thought it was
says it.
funny. But I think
Okay.
that the funniest part of it is not just even the one-liners, but it's so awkward. It's
It's so
uncomfortable.
awkward.
Yeah.
It's so awkward.
and and I mean,
But it's
Brian,
realistically awkward. That's why I like it, right? Like
Yeah.
oh, for
like
sure.
life, teenage life is awkward.
Yeah. Well, and I joked, like my daughter came home, she comes home early, what are you watching? I'm like, it's this super awkward movie. And she goes, you live in a life of awkward. And I'm like, touche, smart girl. Yes,
Yeah.
I sure do. So it resonates. I thought it was all
Yeah.
great, but I guess I never realized the awkwardness of every scene in the movie or nearly every interaction. So I liked it.
Did it surprise you, or like, oh, there's finally the dance I've seen 100 times?
No, it surprised me because yeah, it surprised me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Same. And that the part is I remember just making me laugh so much that I was like
Yeah.
crying almost because yeah. I
So good.
I was
Yeah.
curious because like growing up thinking of Monty Python's Holy Grail, right? Which you know,
Yeah.
super hilarious movie, but all my friends ruined it because by the time I'd seen it, I'd heard all the jokes 1,000 times. They're crossing the gorge, and it's like, what kind of bird? And then like every single joke, oh, it's just a flesh wound. I'm like, my friends have acted that out 1,000 times. Like it kind of ruined it. Like it wasn't even funny for me. So I'm glad that
Yeah, no.
it's a pretty traditional looking school.
Oh, is it? So it was just
Yeah,
depicted as different.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, most of the things are happening in the gym and classrooms and things. So
Yeah.
All right. So the movie comes out in 2004, and I feel like it was a big surprise to everyone.
yeah,
It was crazy. The budget was $400,000 on this movie, and it grossed over $46 million in the theater. So like that's a huge win.
yeah.
Um, but it was like out of nowhere. Like to me, like the only other movie I can think of, and was because I didn't do my research, was when I saw the movie Best in Show. I thought I was going like to see, like, I'm like, this sounds like this is going to be a horrible movie. And then I got in there and I realized it was a big satire and it was hilarious. This was kind of like the same thing. I didn't
Yeah.
really know much about Napoleon Dynamite other than I heard people talking about it saying it was funny, but I did not expect like the amount of awkwardness and how much humor and one-liners and things that would come from this movie.
Yeah, I think that that all contributes to the magic of it, right? Is that it's this low budget thing. So most of the actors you don't recognize, you don't know. So they, they basically become the person, like like Pedro is like I've never seen him anywhere else. This is
Right.
this kid named Pedro, right? And then I think just the low budgetness and kind of indie underground nature of the film. There's no studio formula in it either, right? Like can you imagine going to a bunch of executives at some big picture house studio saying, "Hey, I got this idea and this kid. So the very first scene, he's going to tie this string around a action figure and throw it out the bus window." And yeah, like we're done. Like
Or
move on.
even no, or even the intro of the names, right? Because it's one of them's on a piece of chapstick
Yeah,
Yeah.
production,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it was written on a piece of a paper plate, and just weird,
yeah,
random
Yeah.
things. And I was like, maybe this movie was
yeah,
not what I was thinking it was.
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. Yeah, I
The
definitely wrote
formula
some
wouldn't
notes
work.
on
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because you really think of like the story, like this was a real, like there was not a very good like storyline
yeah,
to it. It was just scene after scene of just like awkwardness that
yeah.
was like, yeah, I kind of wish I had one of my kids watch it with me just to get their reaction of, do they think this is funny now? Do they think it's like really weird? Like
I
I
should
don't
have
know.
had Juliana watch
Yeah.
it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and my kids, I mean, grew up watching it every once in a while, right? Because they were, I mean, some of them were barely born as it was happening, so it's been part of their entire story. So,
it's one of my favorites. That's why I was so glad you picked this one, because
yeah.
I'm like, this is just like great. All of it, just everything about it, I just think is awesome. Anything else? I know, Carly, you hit one of the notes that I didn't get covered in any of the award categories, but I thought the opening credits were amazing because it like just jumps in
Yeah.
and is doing that, and even to the point of like they don't even like show the name of the movie until like
No.
after he gets to school and it flips over and it's and it's written on the desk.
Yeah.
um but I do want to ask you, have either of you watched after the credits? About it,
Did
Brian?
something
Yeah.
happen?
Oh, the big wedding scene. Yeah.
Oh man. I
Yeah,
didn't
you're gonna have to go back and watch it now. There's
I didn't
there is a
finish it
full
out.
like 5-minute scene after the credits, which is so cool because I feel like there's only like, I used to be the one in a movie theater that would sit and watch all the credits, just hoping there'd be like something at the end.
That's
Um,
not normal. People haven't done that until like the comic book things, right? That's when that
yeah,
first started.
Yeah,
They were
this is
doing
the
that
first one I
before?
remember that happening. Yeah.
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
there were some other ones that had like just more like humor and things like while the credits are going, but this was like afterward. You get like this whole
Yeah.
bonus scene. Uh, yeah, that's great.
So once upon a time when I was working, or what with DVD, when DVDs existed, right? So I had the DVD and I had the director's cut.
Yeah.
And so one time working when I was pulling an all-nighter really late, and I'm going to watch the director's cut. And they talked about that, and I think that scene, if I remember it, was actually a couple months later. Like
Oh,
Oh.
really?
like if they were coming back to do retakes or reshoots or somehow, some way they all kind of, so it was actually a little bit later in the whole in the whole,
Yeah.
yeah, in the whole scheme of things. But
It's
even the
not
credits, they had a story on somehow getting Jack White to buy in on the White Stripes song, right? So I mean, because that was
That was, yeah, the
more
opening
recently
song.
released back. Yeah, so it's like, how did you pull that off?
Well, that's what I looked at. I'm like, when I saw the $400,000 budget, I'm like, I felt like half of it went to the music,
Yeah,
which I added. I have a new category in here that
Oh.
that we recently introduced about music. But that was one of the things that I want to talk about. I mean, you had some really big name artists
yeah,
on the soundtrack, from Backstreet Boys and Cyndi Lauper,
yeah.
Jamiroquai with the dance
The end scene,
song.
yeah,
Yeah, like those are usually not cheap to get. So I would be curious to find out how much they actually paid to get the music.
I'm like, I would Google that, but I won't
Yeah.
type now while we're talking. Well, I don't even feel like, so as I was going through, and Kevin, I didn't know that you had new categories. So this will be like a surprise for me too, Brian. But the first category, right, is the John Keating Award. But I didn't feel like there were any grown-ups. Did anyone else? Was there a mentor? I don't even think so. Like, if you're
No,
thinking, I don't know, Kip's online love interest, maybe. I mean,
Brian, do you have anyone in this category?
well, aside from Uncle Rico, who's not helping, right? Like all the adults are like Charlie Brown adults are just kind of in the background, wah wah wah, and you don't even like they're just the principal's there for a minute, but
Yeah,
it's
and
just
he's just basically
lame, yeah.
racist, and and that was about his only contribution to it. So this is what I came to, because I agree. I'm like there was not one adult in here that was a good influence on,
Yeah.
which I think we could get into another context of like what do we think happened to their parents, because grandma seemed fairly young for a grandma, and then Kip, they're saying, is 32 years old, his brother.
I think that was part of a joke too, but of course
Yeah.
he's getting married at the end, so he's at least
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my vote was actually Napoleon Dynamite. I felt like he was the one who encouraged Pedro to run for president, and like his speech, I would be like, just tell them that you're gonna make their wildest dreams come true. Yeah, like he was the one that was encouraging Deb to do things. He was the only one that I thought I would even like nominate for this category.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I didn't even consider him because he was the main character and he
Right.
was a child, but you could be a mentor as a, their mentors come in all sizes, shapes, and forms.
Moving into the cliques or the stereotypes, I mean, there were definitely some of the stereotypes of kind of like I grouped them this way: the outcasts, which were Napoleon, Deb, and Pedro; the cool kids, which were Summer, Trish, and Don. Which, by the way, Don, that guy looked like he was like 30 something years old.
He
playing in high
probably
school.
was.
But he had some of the funniest moments.
Don, is he the bully guy or is he
Don, he
like
wasn't the
summer
bully.
boyfriend?
He was Summer's boyfriend.
Okay,
He was the
or
blonde
what you
guy.
might think it was. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then I put the jocks as Rex Kwando and Uncle Rico. Even they weren't
Uncle
really in the
Rico
school.
was not a jock.
Well,
he just thought he was.
He
Yeah.
thought he was.
I put Uncle Rico as a class clown, just so you know.
That
But
could be.
so they were there, right? Like they were kind of like they poke at him, but the jocks, the cheerleaders, the nerds, but it didn't rely on him heavily, right? Everyone was kind of an outsider in their own way, in a sense, like even Summer. And if you think about it, the cliques, they existed, but nobody actually even fit into the cliques.
Yeah.
It was awkward even there.
Well, I felt it kind of captured like kind of the smaller town. It just captures more of the personality of just kind of a smaller town. That
I think, Kevin, I kind of was in a similar boat as you. I saw the cool kids and everyone else, right? Because even you have Napoleon and Pedro and Deb kind of befriending each other as these outsider group, but basically it's just everyone else. Because there's the other kid that is bullied at one point where Napoleon offers him Pedro's protection, right, as he's running for office. It's like the cool kids and everyone else, but the cool kids were what, 5, maybe 10% tops of the student body, and I'm like, man, if I look back, that's probably what high school is really like. Is there's a small fraction of people who are the cool kids, and everybody else thinks they need to be part of that group. But the reality is, the people who aren't cool, they're outsiders, are just trying to figure out who they are, is most of us.
Yeah.
And I thought that, I kind of picked up on that, looking at it as an adult, right? When I first saw it, I didn't notice that, but.
Yeah, that was one thing that stood out to me rewatching it too, was after, the dance scene and Don, the cool kid, like thinks everyone's just going to laugh at it. And then just everyone else other than Don just erupts with applause like that. Yeah, that really hit me. I'm like, like they're really the ones who thought they were cool. Like they're really, in a lot of ways, they were the outcast. In this movie.
Well, and that's what I thought. I thought they weren't main characters in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they weren't highly depicted either. So,
All right. So moving on, class clown.
I definitely chose Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico's pretty good.
I mean, he's not even a student, but he's obsessed with can build a time machine, right? Like go back, because if I'd have been in that game, we would have won that championship.
That's right. 1982. Yeah. Brian, what do you think?
To me, it was Napoleon, just all the corny things he was doing the whole time. Just throwing the thing out the window, like I mentioned. He's not trying, right? It's just funny. I mean, most of what I was laughing at was him and his and just the corny things that he was doing.
Yeah. I saw a quote of him that I'm like, oh, that was perfect. I'll see if I can find it again. But I agree. I think Napoleon definitely is like tons of humor from him. I thought Kip was just like
the brother.
Kip, the brother, was just like equally awkward and funny, and like everything he was doing, like just so awkward.
I thought the way he talked was funny.
Fighter.
I thought the way he talked was funny. I was like, who talks like that?
I know, yeah.
Just his tone, yeah.
All right, so next one, homecoming scene. Is there a big scene? I think we've talked about it. The dance scene to me was the one that stood out. Like that was kind of like when they were giving the speeches for president, and then he finished with that. Was there anything else that you guys were thinking that could be part in this category?
No, his awkward shuffle with Deb, I think, was really it.
Yeah. There was the actual dance, but it was overshadowed by the, homecoming dance, but overshadowed by the speech, the skit dance right at the end.
But it was uncomfortably genius, I think.
Yeah.
Like when you really think about it.
Oh, here's the tagline.
In a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, for sure. What's
all
the
right,
tagline?
so this was the tagline that I thought explained Napoleon Dynamite perfectly. He's out to prove he's got nothing to prove. I'm like, that's that's kind of him. Yep.
Well, what about one-liners?
All right, one-liners. I think this is
like,
my favorite here because I have like 10 listed here.
Do you have 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6.
Well, okay. Do you have your mom?
Have 10.
Oh, you have 10, Brian?
I might, yeah.
Shut the front door. Okay, what's your favorite?
Okay, my favorite. It's not a one-liner. I guess it's 2 lines. I see you're drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat? Because you're not. You could drink whole if you wanted to.
Oh, that was
mine too. That was mine, and
I just laugh. And then a family favorite for us is your mom goes to college, because my wife finished school after my youngest was in junior high school. So that's when she went back when she was in school more full time. So for probably once a week, my kids would hear me, your mom goes to college. Like,
maybe you could explain this one to me. I didn't. It seemed I thought that was hilarious too. Yeah. But why did Deb get so mad and leave all her stuff and run away? Was that an insult? Do you remember that part, Carla? Like she's like
I wrote
selling
that down. She got mad and she booked it.
And I'm like, was that like a mom joke that I just didn't understand?
Okay. But though Deb was the one when she went to his front door, so I don't know if there's any correlation. I thought maybe I need to rewatch this movie because I'm sure that I missed stuff. But she was going and she was selling, what was it first? Glamour shots, because that was his girlfriend that he picked. He kept her picture. Yeah. And then she went on to sell him a friendship bracelet. And she's like, hey, I'm trying to pay my way to college. Like, help me out. Right. Yeah. So I wondered if it had something to do with that. Yeah. Probably not.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. And some failed your mom joke that Kip thought was, funny, that I think it's funny, but it's like, what's it even mean?
Yeah. The other one was obviously the llama, Tina, you fat lard, come get some dinner. And then he'd launch food at her. What's do chickens have talons? Or, do chickens have talons?
And to me, the funny part of that is the follow-up from the chicken farmer, who is like almost impossible to understand. He's like, I don't understand a word you're saying.
Yeah.
Who doesn't understand who?
All right, so these are the other ones I had on
Yeah.
there. I caught you a delicious bass.
Oh,
Uh,
I had that one too.
uh, that seemed
I
out of
never
nowhere.
understood that. So I that's not, yeah, that didn't make
Yeah,
my,
the ones that I feel like were used a lot were where he would just like look to himself and look down and like either do like that would be like gosh or like
yeah,
yes, like those are ones I feel like were
That's
reused
my
a
GIF
lot.
all the time.
yeah,
Yeah, like,
Yes.
yes. But
yeah,
I love. Are you going to eat your tots?
yeah.
And then he
Oh,
reaches across
and
and
then
grabs the whole tots thing. I
Give me your tots.
he
yeah,
puts them in his pocket.
yeah, and the
Sure.
kid
Yeah.
kicks him. The other one that I actually when I watch this, I'm like, I can't believe how much I actually say this line like in real life. But just when Uncle Rico's talking about how much you want to make a bet, I can throw a football over the mountains.
Yeah.
Whenever I have a
Yeah.
football in my hand, and now I think because I live near mountains, that comes like every time we're throwing a football around, somebody's going to say that.
Back in 82, that's what, back in 82, I could throw a mile of football, a quarter mile,
Quarter
whatever. Back in 82. So back in 82 is one of mine.
I'm just
The other
looking.
Kip comment was funny that we've repeated is, don't be jealous. I've been chatting online with babes all day.
I mean, the other way, I mean, when yeah, I forget how it was set up, but basically his grandma says you can have a quesadilla. I think that sparred at least 5 years of not saying quesadilla correctly.
Call it a quesadilla and never knew why
See, there you go.
until today.
Yeah, the
Grandma
cultural creep.
Dynamite.
There's the one that's like, I like your sleeves. They're real big.
Yeah. One of them that cracks you up too is when Napoleon and Uncle Rico was like, "Quit ruining everybody's lives and eating all of our steak."
Oh, he did say that.
One of my favorite clips, it's not a one-liner, is though when he just takes Kip's steak and throws it
Yeah.
while he's riding the bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when we work with schools at K-12, it's not just about furniture or design. It's about impact. Our radically student-centered approach puts students at the center of every decision. From that first conversation to the final walkthrough, we're focused on creating spaces that actually work for the kids, the teachers, and the community. So if you're looking to do more than just check a box on your next project, let's talk. Visit K12.com. That's KAY-TWELVE.com and see how we're helping schools transform learning one student at a time. Because at K-12, it's not just about projects and furniture, it's about purpose. All right, so realistic or ridiculous? Are there things in the school experience for Napoleon Dynamite that were either like super realistic or completely ridiculous from what we know about working with schools?
I think the movie's kind of ridiculous, but it's realistic, right?
Yeah.
In the awkwardness, my kids, what they don't like about it is, oh, it's so slow, Dad. Come on. But it's like, you know what else is slow? Like generally life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all these, polished and exciting movies about high school are less realistic than, sitting there quietly in class while somebody's wanting the tots that are in your pocket.
Yeah.
Well, and I put that, I don't know if it's ridiculous or realistic, but it's absurd, right? Like, I just thought that's just a little bit absurd, but it's real in how relatable adolescence can feel. Like, you feel bizarre, you feel isolated, you feel
Mhm.
all of those things. And so I do think that it depicts adolescence in a way that is realistic, just with a very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
plot line, which is fine
Yeah.
because I
I
don't know
I
what
agree. I
grade
mean
were they
I
even
mean
in?
as much as we're talking about like just all the all the awkwardness, it's pretty realistic.
Yeah.
Like it really like the whole school experience, like it is just awkward and we all I mean the friends that were like that or we were like that where we like
I'm like, we're still like that, Kevin.
We're
Come
still
on.
like that. I mean, I think back like, yeah, like all like just the dumb stuff that you do at that age. And, you know, I kind of see it like watching like when my 17-year-old and his friends are over. It's just they do a lot of dumb stuff that's actually really hilarious, but part of being that age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So I mean, maybe we lean towards realistic,
Yeah.
just a little absurd.
Yep. All right. The iPhone effect. Made in 2004, so before really we had any of that technology and the social media. How would it be different if this movie was remade today?
Oh my God, Pedro's campaign would be all over TikTok for sure.
Yeah.
He'd have gone viral, right? I mean,
You did eventually, right?
yeah, I
The
mean, he
dance
did,
scene,
but
you've seen
even
it.
Napoleon probably would have gone
Yeah.
viral for his dance because I
Yeah,
mean, how many
probably.
things are picked on her? He definitely would have had some Snapchats shared about him, you know, passed around between his friends, those disappearing videos.
Yeah, I think it probably would have changed. Like, I think part of the reason why this works so well is that the community was really kind of shut off from any outside influence.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you not too far from you, Brian. Like, do you think this type of environment still exists today, or are they more connected? Are the youth kind of more connected with the rest of the world now because of all the technology?
No, I'd say they're more connected. Like even when I go to rural Utah and communities where there's 3,000 people in the whole county, not every, but most students, at least in high school
I,
age, have some kind of phone and are connected
yeah,
to all that stuff. So
Do
yeah.
you think
I
Tina
mean,
the llama would have her own Instagram?
oh, probably. I
Napoleon would know why Grandma was hurt because he would see the video of her in the sand dunes. There's so many different aspects, like Chip, on the or Kip on the computer all day long. It's like now he'd just be, sitting on his phone on some dating app,
yeah.
and it wouldn't even be funny. You're just jealous. I've been chatting with babes all day. Like,
You'd be like, yeah,
dude, you
that's
know
what.
what? You know what you're not doing? Actually dating any of them, Kip, because
Yeah.
that's what other
Yeah. I actually think Napoleon had a lot of like weird hobbies and like creative outlets that he had, everything from like drawing his ligers,
hmm
his dance, like that's the stuff that the kids don't do anymore
No.
because they're just never bored to be
yeah.
able to do those types of creative things that
Well, I'm
yeah,
like, are
right.
they creative anymore? I always wonder. Like,
No.
I look at my kids and I think, gosh, what would you do if you didn't have a phone? Like,
Yeah.
what could you do?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
where those hours get applied to something else. And
Yeah.
yeah.
He did draw a lot though.
I think it's yeah, that's curious. Yeah. I'm thinking of my own. I have a daughter who's very creative. Thinking about all the social media, right? Like, is it is it really creative when you've seen someone do something on Instagram? So you're doing, and I'm not saying my daughter does that, but I'm saying is that what creativity feels like these days? Is I'm just copying something I saw somebody else do
Right.
that I want to do too. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, though, if you think about it, because that's always been a way of life. I mean, it's just different. It's delivered differently. Like before social media was bigger, I mean, if you were cooking, you were cooking out of a cookbook, or a lot of times, you're going to, gosh, what is it? Joann's went out of business, but I'm trying to think of what there was when I was a kid. But you go and you take classes, or you look in a magazine for a tutorial or something like that. So, I
Oh yeah.
remember early on making a wreath for my daughter. She's 20, she's about to be 28 this year. I'm officially old. She's going to be 28 this year. But I made a wreath for her for the door, and I found a tutorial in a magazine, or it may have even been the newspaper back then, right? It's how it's delivered. It's just delivered
You're
differently
right.
now than it was like when we were kids, or even when our parents were kids. But I even have
Yeah.
things from my mom that she cut out of Better Homes or magazines. I have some old school magazines of my grandma's even that had some of the things that she used to
Yeah,
make.
that's true. I mean, those
Yeah.
influences, because I mean, even when Napoleon he finds that dance video, at that thrift shop or wherever he
Yeah.
was at. Yeah, I mean, it's not like he made that all up on his own. He
Yeah.
watched
You
a
saw it?
video, and yeah, it was like an early day of a TikTok trend, huh?
Oh, or when he recorded the video of him throwing
That's
the
right.
football, and Napoleon's like, "This sucks." He's
Yeah,
like, "Get out of here!"
This is the worst video
Yeah.
ever. And
The
Kip
worst.
goes, "How would you
Yeah.
How
even
do you
know
even
that?"
know that?
Well, now we can know, right? He posts it out there and he gets 0 likes. Now you know it's the worst video ever.
I
Yeah.
mean, people do things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. So
All right.
substitute.
Yeah,
Like,
substitute. We got a few more.
would you substitute if you were to recast it today? Could you recast it?
I couldn't think of how you would.
I can't. I think it would have to be like another kind of no name. I don't think you can put anyone that's known in there.
Okay, so
Right, that's the magic of it, right? Is you don't know any of these people.
I think I had to Google who he was, but Finn Wolford is how you say his name. I think if you were to replay, he could definitely bring like the same awkward deadpan vibe that Napoleon did.
I don't know who that is, but I'm going to agree with you.
He's strange looking guy. He's a strange looking character.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know what I saw him in. But I had to Google him. So, but you'll have to. But I think he could do it, just not have the afro.
I think you could redo this with a bunch of no names.
I don't know if you could redo it. I don't think it would hit the same.
Yeah. Did they ever try? Because I think of like the other like low budget ones that were hit, like Blair Witch Project. Like they tried to recreate that again because it was such a financial hit, and they did a whole bunch of other ones. But I didn't see any other attempt. What's the lasting effect? Like if you're gonna write yearbook comments in here, we call this the hags. They have a great summer. Somebody you're writing stuff in a yearbook. What would you write about this movie?
You don't have to be cool to be iconic.
I don't know. The thing I think I like most about it when I actually think about it is being your authentic self and finding actual friends that like you for that authentic person that you are. Watching Napoleon and Pedro develop their friendship, watching Napoleon and Deb develop their friendship, there's this authenticity that I think is hard in high school because you're still trying to figure out who you are. Yeah. So it's just figure out who you are and find a good friend.
How many times have you told your kids that?
Yeah, talking about good friend. Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily find yourself, right? But I always tell my kids, like, it's not about the number of friends you have. It's about the number of quality friends you have. Yeah. So at the end of the day, when you really look at it, like, and you walk away and you say, if I didn't have that person in my life, would I be impacted, right? And sometimes those friendships come in the strangest ways. You just don't know how. It could be Pedro. It could be the weird kid over there with a fever shaving his head. Who knows, right? Like, we find strays all over the place.
Yeah.
And it only takes one friend to like feel fulfilled in relationships. You don't need a ton.
So that's what we would tell our kids is people who are really your friend will help you to be a better version of who you are.
Yeah.
And so you could figure out who real friends are versus, people that are not necessarily a friend or more selfish about being hanging out with you.
All right. So we're 21 years later. Where do we think these people are now? What's Napoleon doing? What a Kip, Pedro, Uncle Rico? Like what guesses of
Pedro
where they would be?
Sure ended up in real politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I think
making
Uncle
people's
Rico,
wildest dreams come true on a bigger level.
Yeah, he's reusing the same speech, and it keeps getting him elected.
Vote for Pedro. Deb's running her own empire and on craft empire on Etsy.
Yeah, I think she would make it big. Yeah, she really rode the Instagram wave.
Absolutely.
Uncle Rico, I don't think he's still alive.
He got lost in his van.
I think something would have happened to him.
Kip's living his best life. He's still married to LaFonda.
Yeah. No, I don't think they're still married. I think either he or the two of them are hosting that show 90 Day Fiance and interviewing other. Do you ever watch that show?
Yeah, I have. I've watched 90 Day Fiance.
Um,
It's love after lockup is where it's really at, Kevin.
But how could they separate? She's LaFonda Dynamite now. Like, how could
that's
you?
true. That's true.
I mean,
I mean, what do you think Napoleon's doing? I
he's
mean,
drawing lingers for a living. He's got
Ligers.
wait, how do you do lingers?
Liger, yeah.
Ligers. It's like, what would he do?
I don't know.
He's a dance instructor. He does flash mobs for a living.
I feel like he would do something awesome, but I don't know
Yeah.
what. like is he just like yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think this is what you ask people, right? To comment when this gets posted and tell us, what would
Yes,
he be doing? Like in your opinion, because I mean, what would it be? Like it could run the gamut.
Yeah, where's Napoleon Dynamite now?
He'd be like the CEO of some corny startup that nobody ever saw coming, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe that's it. Do you guys know who Tony Hsieh? He was the one who founded Zappos.
okay,
But he was known to be super quirky guy, but built this amazing company around customer service. And he lived in Las Vegas, and he basically helped rebuild downtown Las Vegas. But he was really, I mean, he was struggling with things. He ended up dying like really young, like I want to say like around 40.
Was he sick or was it
No,
an unfortunate
it's something
death?
weird. It was like he something drug related, but I think like his house burnt down and he was in the house or something, something like that. But I feel like Napoleon's like kind of one of those like eccentric, like would come up with just something like that nobody else would think of and be successful
yeah.
with it.
No doubt about it.
And then rebuilding Pocatello, Idaho, or something like that.
That's right. Yep.
Boise, Idaho's never been better because of Napoleon Dynamite.
That's right. Yeah. Or he creates his own town. All right. So the last category that we added during School of Rock is we call it the Battle of the Bands. What was the best music? We talked about there are definitely some pretty big name music for a low budget one. Was there any song that was the best one to you?
To me, and I think it's partly just because it's like wrapping up the whole kind of, I don't know, arc of Napoleon and Friends, where, one of the opening scenes he's playing tetherball alone. And then, the closing scene, Deb, and he's asked other people throughout the movie if they play, and it's no, I'm not going to do that with you. That's lame. Deb finally agrees to play with him, and the song is
The Promise.
When in Rome, yeah, The Promise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first line is When You Need a Friend,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it just kind of goes from there, and it just kind of hits, or at least it always did. Like, he's actually got himself a real friend. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So that one sticks out. I mean, but they're all.
I don't know. You have the Canned Heat song. I don't even know who sang that. What Napoleon's
Was that Jamiroquai
the talent
song?
show?
Yeah, the one.
Yeah.
Or after
Pedro's
speech.
But I don't know who did it. I had to Shazam it. I didn't know. And then Cyndi Lauper, Time After Time.
That's good. So
Yeah.
I had White
Well,
Stripes
Forever
in
Young,
there.
right? The prom song of all time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
like
that's true.
They had to have that in the
So
dance.
What were you going to say, Kevin?
I think my vote. I do like that one at the end. I think that's a really good one. My vote was the White Stripes. We're gonna be friends. You and I are gonna be friends. Like that was. I felt like that was actually a pretty big song, and it was like perfect, like setting it up with the credit. Anything else on Napoleon Dynamite? I feel like this was it was a good fun one to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we could talk the tater tot scene for forever. I mean, and him eating it in class. No, I haven't eaten all day. Dude, we just saw you eat lunch, number one.
Yeah.
You took his tater tots. And then two, why was Pedro's plate stacked so nicely? Did anybody notice that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who was his cafeteria lady, or was that Pedro?
Well, awesome. Well, Brian, I'm glad you suggested this one and brought it on. Tell me what's going on if we pull it back to real world. What are things you're working on or things that you want to share?
Yeah, thanks. So with MHTN Architects, we're doing still a lot of cool schools here in Salt Lake and Utah area. we're working on reinventing a private Catholic high school, which will be very cool when it's finished. And one of the local school districts recently bought a building that was built by eBay, and so eBay sold the building, and they're going to convert that eBay building into a high school technology building. So,
that's cool.
Some cool things are going on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I always think about you, and I think back to I was talking to an old job, right? And you had a project that won the McConnell Award. What was it? What was the project?
We didn't win. We had a finalist one year.
Okay, so sorry, I got it wrong. So
That's okay. It's okay. It doesn't hurt too bad.
but I always remember talking to you, and you were like, the colors, and I went out to the desert and I got the actual collected sand samples, right?
Okay,
of this school so that you could match the colors. And I don't even know what year it was, and I think it was, I don't know, it was a long time ago.
It was back in 82.
Okay. Cool.
You took the time machine, go back.
No, listen, we're that old, Kevin.
Yeah, I finished in 2010, and it was in Moab, Utah. So out in the Red Rock deserts of Utah. So, and if you like paying attention, you say that, even I say the Red Rock Desert of Utah, but there's really few cases where the rocks are actually red. And so I would just go out and collect sand in places that weren't national parks, and I could take the sand so that we could, find stone and masonry samples that.
I love that.
Yeah, and I still remember that, and I'm just like, how intentional is it that that's what you did, right? In order to gather the colors of that school and the appearance of it. So I just always remember back to that conversation. I don't know why. Okay,
now you want your mind blown. So I had these jars of sand for 10 years.
Okay.
And because I didn't want to I couldn't get rid of them. Mm-hmm. And so then in 2020, as one of the things that with our office happened in 2020 is our lease was up. So we actually vacated our office. So I had to take the jars of sand, and instead of putting them in the dumpster, I took them home and set them in the garage, and they sat there for about a year. And my youngest daughter, actually most of my kids are very creative, but she's also, she's very artistic with it. So at one point she says, "Dad, can I have that sand?" And I said, "Sure." Because I don't know what you're going to do with it, but if you do something, it's going to be better than, sitting in the garage.
Oh, stop it.
No.
This is what she did with the sand that she collected from Moab. Yep.
Stop it.
No way.
Yep. So that was my Father's Day present
amazing.
in 2000. Yep. So that's one of the arches there.
Carla, I feel like you set this up.
I totally didn't.
The only thing is she had to purchase the white sand because I didn't have white sand. But even that gray sand is there's a place.
Wow.
Oh my gosh! Shut the front door, Brian. This does feel set up, and the fact that you just pulled that off of your wall.
I thought you were going to reach back and pull a jar of you still had a jar, but that is amazing. That's so cool.
I have better. And then she took that same sand and has made sand paintings 3 feet by 2.5 by 3 feet of faces. She's done portraits. Yeah,
So when you say she's creative, she's truly creative.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No.
So talk about the perfect Father's Day present for Dad, right? That's my Moab sand from that project. Yeah.
Wow.
No, but how cool is it? How full circle, and now it's displayed on your wall, and it's something to you that is significant and has impact, right?
Yeah, for a lot of reasons.
So cool.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh my goodness!
Cool.
All right.
All right, wow. That's a great way to wrap things up there. Wow. We need to have amazing endings like this to every episode. But
it was a long time ago too, right? 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Well, to the listeners, this happens every episode. So if you're not already a subscriber, hit subscribe wherever you're at, whether it's YouTube or Spotify, Apple, on the website. And if you're not familiar with anything, our podcast related, the hub for everything is betterlearningpodcast.com. All our episodes are there. And then we also have a form that if you want to be a guest or you have suggestions of who should be a guest or topics, we really take those to heart. So we appreciate everyone who's filling those out and who has filled those out. We review them, and that's what really helps us decide who we want to have on the show and what movies or topics that we're discussing. So Brian, it's great to see you. Carla, it's always fun doing
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. The Better Learning Podcast is produced by Matt Rogers and edited by Kelly Jones. The views and opinions shared on this podcast are those of the individual speaking and do not necessarily represent the perspectives of their affiliated companies, organizations, or associations.